All right. Hey guys, Amanda here. And just to recap, what we're trying to do here, what I do, is I help couples reroute their marriage from mediocre to abundant. Now, I get asked all the time, well, what does a mediocre marriage look like? A mediocre marriage is a lukewarm marriage. This is a marriage where Revelation 3 verses 15 through 19, John writing there would say, this is a marriage that's neither hot nor cold. And here when John is speaking, right, words revealed by God himself, it's saying, listen, I would wish that you would be either cold or hot. But in this lukewarm condition, I want to vomit you out of my mouth. Look at the strong words that the Bible is using. Another version will say, you're stale, you're stagnant. And we get an idea of feeling that the Laodicean church who is living in this lukewarm state, it is no good. Have you ever gone to reach over for your tea and you're thinking it's just going to be nice and warm, but it's been sitting for too long and you're trying to oh, that's awful. It's not cold, it's not hot, it's sort of this in the middle. How about water that's been sitting out outside or maybe even in your car, right? You forgot your water in your car and you just run back to your car. You're so thirsty and you pick it up to sip it and it's just like, it's not cold, it's warm. That is the mediocre, stagnant, stale, lukewarm marriage. But what is an abundant marriage? This is the kind of marriage that Jesus wants you to have. There is no reason. I tell the couples in abundant marriage, there is no reason that Jesus would have to die on the cross so that your marriage could be anything less than abundant. Now, come on, I'm not saying that you're not going to have trials and tribulations and struggles and this and that. Sure. However, Jesus himself declares that the enemy comes to steal, kill, and destroy, but Jesus comes to give life and to give it abundantly, right? And so the abundant marriage is the marriage that has agape love, and this love is not possible without Jesus. This is a love that's steadfast, it's self-giving, it gives without requiring anything in return. It's the kind of love that we see in 1 Corinthians 13. It's patient. It does not envy or boast. It's not arrogant. It's not rude. It always expects the best, hopes the best. It's this kind of love that we want you to experience here as you join us every single week in Abundant Marriage, okay? So what is this video going to be all about? This video is going to answer this question. Are you living separate lives in your marriage? This could be why. All right, stay with us till the end. In the end, I always give 1% tips, a way that you can incorporate this right now in your marriage to guarantee that every single day, week by week, month by month, year by year, you are experiencing abundant marriages. So, some questions to start us off. Do you feel like the person you are sharing a bed with has become a complete stranger? Almost like you guys have become roommates, where you interact day to day, not to dream, not to wish, not to hope, but to go through the checklist. Did you get the milk? Don't forget to pick Johnny up from school. We have a teacher conference we can't forget to go to. Do you feel like in your marriage right now that somehow there's almost this invisible distance between the two of you? And you're looking around, you look at that woman that you married, you look at that man that you're married, and you think, who is this person? You've grown so far apart, you don't know where exactly you started to become distant, but you know that something is different than what it was in the beginning of your marriage. You're living two separate lives, and really your marriage has become quite lonely. And so after you watch this video, it is my desire, the intention, the purpose that your heart and your spouse's heart, that it'll start beating to the same rhythm. Right now, maybe you guys are in completely different books. But the intention of this video is to put you guys in the same book and on the same chapter and the same page. Wouldn't that be awesome? That you guys would not be passing ships, but that you guys would be on the same exact ship, going to the same exact place. What I want in this video is that you would truly become one flesh with your husband, with your wife. This is what the Bible tells us in Genesis, that a man and a woman are to leave, cleave, and become one flesh. What is this one flesh? Physically, it means sex. Hallelujah, right? It's a good thing. Physically, it means sex. But it also speaks about a physical intimacy, but an emotional and a spiritual intimacy. If you were to ask God in marriage, one man plus one woman equals, he wouldn't say two, he would say one. In marriage, 1 plus 1 equals 1. You think, well, come on, man, if I become one flesh, does that mean I lose my identity? Does that mean I'm not my own person? Do I have to surrender my individuality? Of course not. Not at all. Although you experience oneness, both husband and wife, they will still keep their individual traits, personality, temperament. Neither spouse will live in the shadow of the other. You are completely two different people. However, two people with the same dream and goal and desire. I like to think of it very much like God the Father, right? The Son, Jesus, and the Holy Spirit. All are God, but they all serve different functions, almost like an egg. You know how the egg has the shell? It has that white part and has the yellow part inside, right? The yolk. Well, is the shell more an egg than the yolk? Or is the white part more an egg than the yolk? Of course not. They're all an egg. One would not be an egg without all three of them being together, right? We know an egg by the three parts of an egg. One is not more egg than the other. This is exactly how God wants us to see marriage. Man and woman, 1 plus 1 equals 2. And so before we start to dive in further, I want to describe what a lonely marriage is. This is the marriage that despite having two people, thanks Renee is awesome. He just does it all. Look at this. He read the thirst. Okay, so look, in lonely marriages, although there are two people in this marriage, either one of the spouses or both of the spouses could be living completely separate lives. And how do we see the separate lives? We see it in behaviors, we see it in attitudes, we see it in visions and values and dreams. I mean, two passing ships. Now, the biggest characteristic of this lonely marriage is that husband and wife, they're no longer friends. They're no longer companions. They're no longer partners. You know, I had a husband and a wife who were just on two different wavelengths. You know, when I asked the two of them, they were experienced, right, that there is a distance, that they were living separate lives. And as I was exploring what this separate life entailed, I started to ask different questions about dreams and visions and goals. And for the husband, he defined family as extended family. He said, you know, my family is my mother, my father, my siblings. The wife defined family as the husband and the children. And so you start to see that there are two different things going on here. And it got more. Said the husband, well, where do you envision yourself, you know, doing in the next maybe 2, 3, 5 years from now? Oh, I would like to live in the place that I was born, my hometown. I would love to, you know, make money so that I can help all of my family. I would love to have a huge reunion, a huge trip, a vacation with all of my extended family, the cousins and the aunts and the uncles. And the wife is looking at him like, I actually hate every part of what you're just telling me. She goes, I don't want any of that. I don't want to go live from our hometown, the place we were born. I hate it there. I want to continue to live here in America. And I don't want to travel with all your family. I want to travel with our children, with our sons. And just, they could not see eye to eye. This is such a small example, but I kid you not. Throughout the entire process, sort of, you know, interviewing them, trying to get a feel of why their marriage was mediocre, not abundant, there was not one point, there was not one thing. I mean, not even the same color, right? We both like blue, Amanda. That's something that we have in common. There is absolutely nothing in common. They were dreaming separately. Their focus was at two different places. Their marriage, although they were married on paper, it was much more of like a business transaction, right? We have to pay the rent together because we can't afford to live separately, and we have to make sure we take the boys to school. And you have to make sure you buy groceries so that I could cook it was a business transaction. It was a I scratch your back, you scratch my back type of situation. Now, the problem in this lonely marriage is that both partners, both the husband and the wife, they will suffer. And suffer because they're not living the abundance that Jesus has in store for them. Now, oftentimes it seems that husbands in lonely marriages, they start to sort of drift because for whatever reason, their focus will be elsewhere, be it in a job, in a hobby, with their friends. And the wife, she has a particular role in this, and here's why. An interesting thing happens when a woman has children. Now, wives, I promise you, if your husband is very open and very communicative and expresses his deepest emotions, he might answer this question honestly. A lot of my guys have a really hard time being vulnerable and open with their wives, especially when it comes to their children. I kid you not, okay? I kid you not. Husbands oftentimes are jealous, are threatened by their children. Oh, Amanda, that's ridiculous, right? I had a wife the other day. That's absolutely insane. This is a grown man, Amanda. What is he jealous of the children? Well, jealous, why? Because the wife is putting all of her focus, her attention in the child, and then guess what? Husband then starts to put all of his focus and attention, whether it's extended family or hobbies or his work. The list goes on and on. Right? The wife takes care of the kids, the husband gets neglected. And I will say, well, have you ever shared this with your wife? Oh, Amanda, are you kidding me? I would never share this with my wife. You know how little I feel? You know how petty I feel? I'm comparing myself to my child. I'm competing with my child. And so this separate life starts to form. Two people are not sharing their innermost thoughts, their innermost feelings, their desires. Husband is going down one track, wife is going down another track for similar but also very common reasons. And here's the thing, you might be thinking, Amanda, I hear what you're saying, but really, do you think it's that big a deal? Here's the thing. If something is not done, distance will become more and more and more. Two different people who are supposed to be living as one flesh under the same roof are now living two completely different and separate lives under the same roof. As a husband recently told me, they were thinking about participating in the next group for abundant marriage, and I was talking to him and I asked him, hey, what was a reason that made you want to participate? I don't like this stuff and these programs and the this and the that. I don't love this stuff. And I said, well, why did you decide to participate then? Did your wife give you an ultimatum? Did she manipulate you? Did she put the fear of God on you? And he goes, she took me by surprise. And I said, well, how so? She said that this would be our marriage's last hope. That if we didn't successfully complete the abundant marriage program, that we were getting a divorce. And he says, and I was completely blindsided. And I said, well, come on, what do you mean? You didn't notice that something was different? He goes, Amanda, I kid you not. I had no idea that my marriage was in this situation, that I was in this boat, that this was my reality. Or maybe another husband who says, it only dawned on me that my marriage was not what I thought it was because my wife, she went to go spend a weekend with all of her girlfriends. And all the girlfriends got together to go on that weekend. And some of the husbands were going to go. And I told my wife, hey, I don't have to work this weekend. Could I join you? And she started to make a bunch of excuses. Oh, this, or maybe you should do this, or honestly, I don't think you're going to like it. And then I asked her, I said, do you not want me to go? And the wife says, honestly, no. I'm so used to doing things on my own that now just thinking about you coming with me and me having to pack for you and organize your stuff, I'd rather you not come, to be honest. And for the first time, the light bulb went off in his mind, and he thought, wait, hold on, something's wrong here. My wife, I just told her, here's the woman who's been asking me every weekend that I would spend time with her, and for the first time I'm saying, hey, look, I'm available, and she's saying, actually, you know what? Keep doing what you're doing because I'm used to living the way I was living. You see, this is a situation, the lonely marriage, and it's hard for me to fully define it for you. And for those who are experiencing, you're listening to me and you're thinking, Amanda, that's exactly how my marriage is. And when you experience it in your flesh, right? When this is your situation, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And if you're not experiencing it, well, let's do some preventative so that you'll never be in that boat. So this week in the Instagram, I asked the question. I said, I always forget the title of these things. There's so many titles. I literally, if you watched the video I did, I was like, wait, Renee, what's the title of this thing? So, are you living separate lives in your marriage, right? This could be why. And so I asked the question, why do you think? And we had different answers, but they kind of fell into three sort of categories. But interestingly enough, they're all sort of interconnected. So one person said, well, maybe the environment that you live in, the everyday, the day-to-day, the people you surround yourself, whether it's work or church or school, you start to become a different person, and so does your spouse, and then you start to kind of, have separate lives. Another person said, well, kids. You know who said that? A husband said kids. And another one said, maybe we're just dreaming different dreams. And what I heard that person say was, maybe it's different values. Maybe, I want to go in this direction towards this destiny, and he wants to go in this direction towards this destiny. And I had a person comment back, and she goes, listen, I don't want to be mean or anything, but I think this whole answer that kids and that the dream things, it's just an excuse. It's baloney. I don't buy into it. And I hope this person is with us tonight, because I said, you would be surprised. You would be surprised. And here's the thing. Look at this. For the person who said, I don't buy into it, that's baloney. There's no way, that dreaming different dreams or the kids or that this is the reason why people are living separate marriages. So there is a study done and published in the Journal of Sex and Marital Therapy. They surveyed about 2,300 couples who had just gotten a divorce. And the question was, well, why did you get a divorce, right? The million-dollar question, what was it? If you could just, touch something, if you could just explain it to us in a couple, why did you get a divorce? And there was 4 different reasons. 47% of participants said that it was lack of love or intimacy, that either one or both partners fell out of love. They decided that the grass was greener on the other side and they were going to go find out, right? Interestingly enough, I have done videos on 3. This is the last video sort of that talks about this research. I didn't verbalize it to you, but I've been working through and I'm excited to share it with you now. So the main reason, 47% of the participants who said I fell out of love, we created a video called I Fell Out of Love, Now What? So go check that one out if you feel like you're falling out of love. The second biggest, percentage, 44% of the participants, they said it was because of communication. And if you've been following us, you know that last week we talked communication. We talked about the listeners portion of communication. And a few weeks back, we talked about the speaker. So go and watch Attune Part 1 and Part 2 if this is what is going on in your marriage, communication. The third reason, the 34% of participants, they said that they lacked sympathy, respect, love, and trust. And a video was created on that. And it was called How to Disagree with Love and Respect. Right? And so now I'm excited about this one because this is a reason that if we are not paying attention, if we are careless, if we are not doing our due diligence, that we might not think that this is a big reason, as did this person who commented, I think that's a ridiculous reason. Look at this, 32%, not far off from the 34% who talked about lack of trust and respect. They said, and I'm going to read it here, that researchers said that 32% ranked that they were developing, look at this, different dreams that led to different values and a different destiny. Isn't that interesting? So, you might be thinking, well, Amanda, this isn't happening to me. Let me give you some red flags to pay attention to. Has your spouse ever complained that you're spending too much time on your phone, with your hobbies, whether it's with your family or with your friends? Have they complained? Just that you're spending an excessive amount of time. Okay, I'm not saying that you can't hang out with your friends or with your, of course not, all right? Of course. But what I'm saying is an excessive amount where it's getting to the point of neglect here. Or maybe they've complained that all of your plans do not include them. I had a husband recently tell me, he says, Amanda, when we were creating dreams with each other, my wife named all of her dreams, and I named all of my dreams, and I looked at her list, and I said, wait, where am I in your dreams? Where am I in your next 5, 10, 15 years? This is what I mean by creating plans, dreams, visions apart from your spouse. So here we go. Now we're going to get into it. Are you living separate lives in your marriage? This could be why. One of my favorite verses in the Bible, a lot of my favorite verses come from Proverbs, that I particularly like this one, and it says this: a people with no vision perish, and the same is true in your marriage. If you do not have a vision, a dream, a plan, a goal, you will perish, because it creates a marriage without hope, without ideals, without values, without things that you would be willing to lay your life down for. Remember, growing apart ranked as fourth. In other words, 32% of these couples who experienced divorce, they said that they grew apart. And because they grew apart, they found that they had different visions and dreams. 32%. What causes these separate lives to start to exist in your marriage? Now, several things can cause separate lives, but it has become pretty clear in the last few years that I've been working with these couples that all of them say something similar, which is when the couples come and they start to say that they're living separate lives, a lot of them, if not most of them, will say that the roots were found in unshared dreams, unshared destiny. Now, before we start talking, I want you to open your Bible to Matthew 7. Matthew 7, there's an interesting little story there about a man who was about to build a house, okay? It's important that I lay this foundation first, so no one gets the wrong idea here, okay? We are going to construct a home right now together. We're going to be talking the reason why you're living a separate life. But we first, in any home, in any construction, you have to lay the foundation, right? You have to uproot some of the organic matter on top. You have to level everything out. You have to bring in the sand, and then you have to bring in the concrete to lay a solid foundation. You don't start putting anything before you first do this. And so Matthew 7, beginning in verse 24, says this: We're going to pick it up and we'll start right at verse 24. Therefore, this is Jesus speaking. Whoever hears these sayings of mine and does them, I will liken him to a wise man who built his house on a rock. So look, first thing we see here, Jesus saying, the wise man builds his house on a rock. In other words, on a solid, sturdy foundation. Verse 25, and the rain descended, the floods came, and the winds blew and beat on that house, and it did not fall, for it was founded on the rock. But everyone who hears these sayings of mine and does not do them will be likened to a foolish man who built his house on sand. And the rain descended, the floods came, the winds blew and beat on the house, and it fell, and it was a great fall. Jesus talks about two different men. One is wise, one is a fool. The wise builds on the rock, the fool builds on sand. Now, if you look more and dig a little more on in this verse, in this chapter, you will find out that the rock is an uppercase R, and that is the rock, that is Jesus, right? The cornerstone. He is the rock. In other words, as we start talking dreams, you need to understand that all of your dreams, all of the visions, all of the aspirations that you have in your marriage and for your marriage, it needs to be founded on the rock of Jesus. If you start having dreams apart from Him, if your heart is not beating to the rhythm of His heart, you are like the fool that is building on sand. So as the foundation, we're not even going to go one step further without first putting it in our mind, engraving this in our mind. Your dreams need to follow Jesus. It needs to be founded on a rock because it needs to be solidified. It needs to be founded on Jesus. You start dreaming things that go contrary to the Bible, that are not principle, you're going to have a rude awakening because you're going to realize that when the floods come, the tempest comes, your house is going to come a crumbling down. Does that make sense? Jesus is the rock. So individual dreams, as we're going to see now, and couple dreams, as we're going to see now, they need to be run through Him. They need to be founded on Him. Or else, this is not me saying it, you're a fool. It's foolishness. Okay, that's what the Bible says. So look, here's the first step. The reason you are living separate lives in your marriage, this could be one of the reasons, this could be why. It's because you are not dreaming together. Did you catch that? You are not dreaming. You are growing apart, like the statistics say, right? 32% said that they were growing apart. They were going down different paths, different dreams, different visions, different goals. So the person who commented, Amanda, is it because they're dreaming different dreams? Yeah. And the kids in the other one makes sense also, and you're going to see it. So look, the first step that you need to take, we're going to take 3 steps. Write this down. You have your pens and your paper. The first step is you need to know what your dream is. If your husband or wife asks you about your dream and you don't even know it yourself, it would make sense that they wouldn't know it. So you need to spend time reflecting with some of these questions. Remember when you were little in school, I know I got asked this all the time, what do you want to be when you grow up, right? And oh man, I had so many things. At one point I wanted to be a dentist, and then I wanted to be in the CIA, and there's so many different, I wanted to be a professional soccer player. Depending on the age you asked me and my interest and likes in that moment, that would be my answer. Now, if I were to ask you that question, who do you want to be when you grow up? Did the answer that you gave when you were younger, is it the same today? For some of you, you might say, yeah, I'm actually living out the career that I chose when I was a little girl, a little boy. But maybe for you, it's different. But now we're going to take this one step further. And I want you to ponder on some of these questions. Where do you want to go? Think earthly, but also think heavenly. Where do you want to go earthly? Do you want to travel to a specific place? Now, where do you want to go outside of this planet that we call Earth? Is heaven a dream? Is heaven a goal? What do you want to accomplish in your life? These are questions that you need to reflect, that you need to sit with. You need to grab a journal. You need to find a tree. Go out in nature. Sit down under a tree and just dream with God and say, God, what do I want to accomplish? What do I want to do? Think about things like, what problem do I want to solve? Is there something that was particularly painful in your life? Could it be that, not that God sent this painful experience in your life, but that He can use the painful experience to somehow make you the problem solver of this pain? Think things like, what mountain do I want to climb? What hero do I want to meet? Or whose hero do I want to be? These are the types of things you need to be thinking about. If you could write a book, what would be the title? This is one that sort of keeps me up at night. What would I want River and Reed, these are my twin boys, what would I want River and Reed to say about me on my 50th birthday? What would I want them to say about their father and I when we celebrate our 50th anniversary? These are the questions that you need to be thinking about. Here's one. What would you want your tombstone to read? Remember, a people with no vision perish. If you do not have a destination, any place of arrival will do. It will fit. No one ever goes anywhere without first looking on the map and figuring out where they're trying to go. Have you ever randomly just went to the airport, sat on any plane and said, take me somewhere? No one's done that unless it was maybe a joke or a dare. No one does that. Before you step onto any plane, you're going to figure out, wait, where am I trying to go? Where's the destination? And then you're going to go and buy the ticket. You're going to prepare. You're going to have a vision. And then you're going to work backwards. Remember, a people with no vision perish. So do you know the answers of the questions that I have just asked? Maybe you know some of the answers, but I think now is a good time for you to figure out what are your individual dreams. Now let's take it to the next step. This is step 2. Once you've figured out your individual dreams, or if you already know your dreams, awesome, great. Here comes the next question. Does your spouse know what they are? It's incredible to me. It's amazing to me how two people who live in the same house, okay, the couples who start abundant marriage, and I'll ask this question. I'll say, hey, what is your wife's dream? And the husband will look at me like I just asked him, how to get us to the moon. He'll say, what? What do you mean, what is her dream? I have no idea what her dream is. Then I'll look at the wife and I say, do you know what his dream is? I have no idea, Amanda, what his dream is. And over the last 5-10 years, we just talked about the to-do list. Take out the trash. Oh, I can't believe you forgot the dirty dishes in the sink. And it starts to make a whole lot of sense why they're living separate lives. Dreams are something that we need to have hope. We need to think ahead. We need to have a reason to get out of bed in the morning. And that's what dreams are. There's a show Renee and I like to watch. It's called America's Got Talent. And I see people go on this show. And it's just, it's incredible to me how there's so many people in this world. And so many people have all these crazy talents. It's incredible to me. And some people go there and they're very old, right? Some of them are like 80s, 90s, old. And they'll say things like, this was always my dream. Do you see what I'm saying? There are certain dreams when we were little, or even when we, middle, high school, whatever, college, those dreams sort of stick with us. And it doesn't matter how old we get, we want to fulfill, we want to live out those dreams. So not knowing what your personal dreams are, it makes sense why the Bible says that someone like this will perish. But it also makes sense why you would be in a separate existence with your spouse if one of the most awesome, exciting, personal, intimate dreams of yours, if your wife or your husband, if they didn't even know what that was. So look, when you start to share dreams with each other, I want you to ask some questions, and I want you to reflect on some questions. Now, let me remind you, we recently did a video talking about different temperaments. So if you remember, I'm a sanguine, and my husband is phlegmatic. I think I'm saying that correct. As a sanguine, my dreams are pretty insane, right? I dream with 2 feet off the ground. So whenever I present a dream for Renee, his gut reaction, his knee-jerk reaction is to be like, you've lost your mind. Like, you've gone mad. You've gone insane, right? And when he shares his dreams with me, my gut reaction is to say, Renee, you always dream so safe. I mean, get out of your comfort zone. This is like a lukewarm dream. This is a mediocre dream. We have learned to press pause and to listen to each other's dreams a little differently. So when your husband or when your wife, after they found out what their dreams are, maybe they already know, when they're ready to share those dreams with you, do not, and I literally wrote here, don't poop on their dreams, okay? Don't poop on their dreams. Let them dream. If it's crazy, if it's insane, or if it's too safe, or whatever, let them dream. And I want you to approach it in this way. So write this down. The first one, start to ask questions about their dream. Be curious about their dreams. Dreams always have a story behind it. Dreams always have a story behind it. So be curious. Remember, we talk about how we need to be like gold miners. A gold miner, someone who's looking for jewelry, for gold, for treasures. They're not just going to shovel the surface. They're never going to find treasures that way. They're going to have to dig and dig and dig. Find the reason behind the dream. Find the history. Find the past. Get the details. So ask questions about, you're not judging the dream, you're not shooting the dream down, you're not pooping on the dream, right? All you're doing is you're being curious about the dream. Why is this the dream? Now, after you ask questions, I want you to offer empathy towards the dream. Now, you don't have to be doing backflips and being super excited about the dream, but express that you would like to somehow be helpful. Saying things like, oh, I understand why this dream would be important to you. Oh, I understand why you are so passionate about this. You don't need to be excited. You don't need to be doing backflips, but I want you to take it one step further and express that you would be willing to be helpful in this dream, which comes the next part. Offer emotional support. These advice was created by a woman. Her name is Ellie Listessa, I'm probably saying her name wrong, and she wrote there on the Gottman Institute, and she gives really great advice about how to speak to each other about dreams. And so what does it mean by offering emotional support? Maybe you can't directly help with the dream, right? But you can indirectly help. You can communicate things like, hey, I'm going to be your biggest fan as you accomplish this dream. I don't know how I can directly help you, but I'm with it. I am here with you. You know, one of the dreams of mine was that I wanted to start a nonprofit. And it's called I Believe. And sure enough, Renee and I, right in the beginning of marriage, we were still dating, I believe, and we started this nonprofit, and I showed him the vision. I shared with him the vision. He says, hey, I don't know how I'm going to help you, but I'm here with you. I'm going to support you. And sure enough, God started to show different ways. Renee's an incredible musician. I keep trying to get him to play for you guys. I think with a few more lives, I can convince him, right, with my special convincing abilities. And when I would go preach, Renee would sing and he would play. And sure enough, my dream that I had dreamed, in the end, it started to incorporate him. Why? Because he was just willing to back me up. He says, I don't know how I'm going to help you, but I'm willing to find out. And if there really isn't anything that I can do hands-on, I'm just going to root you on. I'm going to go to the churches. I'm going to go to this. I'm going to be there. The next thing is what I just said Renee did. You can start finding ways to participate in the other's dream. Whether you're reading about it or helping to make plans or offering advice if they ask for advice, find a way to participate in your husband and your wife's dream. Give support. Give tangible support. Things like, I'll give you an example just of today. Fridays, we have to get the boys ready for bed a little quicker. We have to spend a little bit of time with them reading the Bible and getting them ready for bed and praying. But Fridays are always so crazy sometimes because I'm trying to get ready for you guys. And Renee, always, he goes, hey, take some time, just go catch your breath, go get ready, and I'll spend the last 30 minutes here with the boys. This is him giving support in a very tangible way, right? Here I am filming. When we started this whole thing, Renee had no idea about the filming and the lights or whatever. Guess what? He found out. He got excited. He got behind me. He was empowered and motivated, and he saw your marriage is changing, and this sparked something in him. But why? Because he was curious about this dream. And then, who knows? You might join the dream, which has been the case for Renee. Now look, I'm not saying that every single dream Renee has, I am going to be as participant of it as he has been in mine, or vice versa. But I'm saying to give it a chance, to be curious about it. Because here's the thing, if your husband, if your wife starts to share their dreams with you and you shoot it down and you're not curious about it, they're never going to want to share their dreams anymore. And here's the catch, here's the thing, understanding the basis of each other's dream can be the most rewarding, satisfying, awesome thing in the world. It will give you a completely different future, a completely different destiny. And you may discover that some dreams are absolutely crazy. But you also may discover that some dreams are so doable, as a couple of mine who one of the wife dreams is, I want to go hike Machu Picchu. I said, what, really? That was a dream? And guess what? They made plans and they went and they hiked it. Doable dreams can also start motivating you for the crazy dreams. So create a habit. Create a habit to dream out loud. Remember the bucket list? Dream out loud. Have a bucket list. Start sharing with yourself. Reflect with yourself. Start sharing it with your spouse. But in order for this to happen, you need to spend time together. And this is what we're going to see here next. Step number 3. Remember, step number 1 is figuring out what your dreams are. Step number 2 is sharing the dream with your spouse. And as your spouse shares it with you, be a good listener. Ask questions. Offer empathy. Offer support. And maybe, who knows? God has already created for you a place, a position in your spouse's dream, as has been the case with Renee and I, not only in our nonprofit, but also in Abundant Marriage. And it's been incredible to work alongside him. He has so many talents and gifts that I do not have. And it's almost like God knew that we were going to do this together. And step 3, here we go. We're getting to the end here. You need to dream together. It is so important that you have dreams together. And here's why. I wrote this little quote down here. Marital dreams is something that will influence and affect your life both in this world and in the world to come. Your dreams matter. It has eternal matter. It has eternal weight. I can give you so many different examples in the Bible, but one of them being, let's just take one. Let's take Noah. God calls Noah to build an ark. You know how long it took Noah to build an ark? 120 years. Noah saw rain, a flood, when he was 600 years old. Genesis 7:11 says that. Go check to see if I'm correct. Genesis 7:11 says that Noah saw rain, the flood, when he was 600 years old. If it took 120 years to build the ark, but if you think about it, this was his whole life's mission. This was the goal. This is what he was going to do. Everyone thought he was crazy and insane and a lunatic. And here's the thing. Noah's wife and children were with him every step of the way. Can you imagine if Noah had to enter that ark by himself without his family? No. This is why it's important that we dream together as well. When God called Noah, God also called his whole family. God called Noah directly, but his family was going to be included. His wife needed to be included. Guess why? Because this dream took a huge chunk, a portion of his life. Night and day and night, Noah dreamed about building this ark. So if she was not coming alongside this dream, if they didn't have a similar vision, there is no way that this marriage would last. You know in the Bible where it says, do not be unevenly yoked? It's specifically talking about a believer being paired up with an unbeliever. But to me, that is just the surface, just like the tip of the iceberg. Unevenly yoked also has to do with when one spouse is dreaming dreams founded on the rock of Jesus, and then a spouse dreaming dreams that are founded on sand. It's foolishness. If our dreams aren't in rhythm, if we're dreaming miles apart, we wouldn't have Noah would not have his family in the ark, something of which he wanted to do, if his wife said, you know what, Noah, I'm not down for this dream. How different would the story of Noah look like? This is why dreaming together is important. Dr. Harold Markman says, after interviewing couples, he found that most of them had fun early in their marriage. That's the case for all of us. But as time went by, he noticed that the fun fizzled. But look, he said excitement and fun can fade away, but creating shared dreams over a long period of time will sustain deep connection and happiness in your marriage. A people with no vision perish. A marriage with no vision perishes. This is why it's important to make dreams that are founded on the rock of Jesus. Why? Because the tempest can come, the rain can come, the wind can come. You know, the butterflies may fade away, but when you know where you're trying to go, when you have shared dreams, this will sustain a lifetime of happiness. Oh, shared dreams. I always tell this to Renee. I am just so thankful that Renee is not only my partner in marriage, but my partner in mission. I'm going to read some things here for you so I don't miss anything. Sharing a common dream or vision for life that is bigger than the both of you. Do something together that is literally going to shake the gates of hell. I wish I could, digest this more with you guys, but something that Renee and I are doing that is dreaming bigger than us. We're in the process here of creating a building for the nonprofit for I Believe Ministries, and it's something so crazy and so wild and so insane. Years ago, we would have never thought that we would be in, the belly of this whole thing, and every single day we see the trees get removed, and then the ground be leveled. The next week the dirt is going to be coming in, and it's awesome because we are dreaming dreams that are so much bigger than us. The purpose is so much bigger. And you know why this is so important? Look at this. Creating larger context of meaning in life can help couples to avoid focusing on the little stuff that happens and keep their eyes on the bigger picture. The petty, the silliness, all these things just go away when we think of, hey, we need to make this marriage work because we have a huge dream to fulfill for God. And this is going to happen. I have a couple right now, one of their dreams is to own a home. And some of the petty little fights and this and that, it's just been blown away. Why? Because they're together trying to buy this home for their family to live in. The next thing here, taking time to process your dreams brings you one step closer. You know why two people can start to live two separate lives? Because they're not dreaming together. Why are they not dreaming together? If you don't know your spouse's dreams, or if you're not dreaming together, you're obviously not spending time together. But when you find out about each other's dreams, what are you doing? You're spending time together. When you dream the same dreams, what are you doing? You're spending time together. And when you accomplish similar dreams or help your husband or help your wife accomplish their dreams, what do? Spending time together. How could you start living separate lives if all of your focus, all of your energy is to make not only your marital dreams come true, but help, empower, and empathize as your husband or wife make their dreams come true. Dr. John Gottman says that couples who talk about their hopes and dreams with one another openly are more likely to be happy and less likely to be struggling. He continues, building a relationship that is full of shared dreams is essential to a happy marriage. He's not saying, you get an option. He said, no, it is necessary. It encompasses a couple's legacy. Look at this. The stories they tell, their beliefs, their values, the culture they create. This is why dreams are so important. This is why a people with no vision and a marriage with no vision perish. Let me get some water. Now, here's the $100 question. Renee, how am I on time? The $100 question is this. Would I have some couples in the abundant marriage where they'll come tell me, okay, Amanda, well, what if we have individual dreams, but what if we don't have a shared dream, right? That's a big question. Got it. What if we don't have any shared dreams? I'm going to help you find a shared dream. I kid you not. I don't share any dreams with this woman. We're nothing alike. So this is what you're going to do. The secret to increasing shared dreams, shared meaning, shared values is spending time together. Spending time together. That's literally it. Spending time together on a regular basis. Spending time together on a regular basis helps you not only get to know your partner, but then start to dream together. When you share your innermost thoughts, your feelings, your desires with someone, you don't do that unless you're spending time together. Something Renee and I do every single day is we go on a walk. You know, there's a straightaway that leaves our property, goes all the way down, and every morning we go on this walk. It takes us about 30 minutes, 15 minutes going that way and 15 minutes coming back. And during this walks, sometimes we're sharing things of the day-to-day. Sometimes we're dreaming together on the nonprofit or on abundant marriage. Sometimes he's telling me something crazy that happened in work. And other times, no one is speaking and we're just silently walking together. In order for you to have dreams, you need to spend time together. And say, okay, Amanda, well, what do I do? We barely spend any time together. So here, listen carefully. In order for you to dream, you have to create rituals. What is a ritual? Ritual is something that it's going to become a habit. It's something that you're going to do every single day. You're going to create little rituals throughout the week, the month, the year that is going to bring you closer together so that you can start dreaming dreams together. So look, something that is a ritual is, I have a lot of couples of mine who says, you know, a ritual we've created is that we shower together no matter what every single day. Or we have breakfast together. Or, you know what, Amanda? One of our rituals is that we do our finances together. Another ritual can be that once a week we're going to go on a date night. Or once a month we're going to plan a family outing. Find something, whether it's a hobby. We're going to go paddleboarding every other week. We're going to go rock climbing. Find a ritual, something that you have weekly, monthly, and yearly that you're doing together. I think I can make it and share this with you guys. Part of finding rituals is that you are cultivating time in your mind, in your day-to-day, that includes your spouse. And this is why it's so important to get close and connected. I have a wife, for her birthdays are so important. And the husband's like, oh, it's not a big deal. She makes such a big deal about birthdays. But when he started to ask her why birthdays were so important, she says, well, because when I was a little girl, my parents would wake me up every morning on my birthday with balloons and cakes. And to me, birthdays represent family and the memories. And he says, oh, I didn't know it was that important. And now part of their ritual is that birthdays will always be important in that household. So create weekly, monthly, and yearly rituals, because the more time you spend together, the more likely you will dream together. The reason why you are living separate lives in your marriage, you're not dreaming together. Why? Because you're not spending time together. And that's why the kids make sense. If kids are pulling you away from each other, find time to just have husband and wife time. That's why the other thing makes sense. Well, he's in a different environment and I'm in a different environment, and he's with his work and his family and this, and I'm with my work and my family, and there's distance between us. All of these questions, all of the answers make sense in living separate lives, because people who are not having dreams together are obviously not spending time together. So look, do not be two passing ships. Oh man, I'm not going to have time to say it, but I'm just going to end with this. This is what I want you to do. If you didn't remember anything, I want you to remember this. Look, here's the question. Where do you find yourself in the next 5 years? In the next 5 years, where do you find yourself? List 3 things. After you list those 3 things, take a look at it. If your spouse is not included in those 3 things, there is a problem. If your spouse is not included in your dreams, in your destiny, there's a problem. So what are you going to do? You're going to create rituals so that you can spend time together, so that you can start dreaming together. After you've created rituals, that's the first thing you're going to do. Well, you're going to think about your own dreams, making sure that it is founded on the rock of Jesus. You're going to share those dreams, and then you're going to create marital dreams. How to create marital dreams? We don't have dreams together. Create rituals so that you're spending more time together. After you create these rituals, that's your homework this week. After you create these rituals, you start spending more time together. I want you to buy the biggest cardboard paper you can buy, and I want you to write your first dream together. Sit down, send the kids off somewhere. If you don't have kids, great, right? Get together, plan a date night, and just with crayons and colored pencils and markers, I want you to spread it out on the dinner table, spread it out on the floor, and I want you to start dreaming together, whether it's your house, whether it's a nonprofit, whatever that dream together is, whether it's being missionaries, I don't know what it is. Dream big, dream so big that when it happens, when it comes to fruition, that people will look at your marriage and say, surely God was in the midst of them. There's no way that they could have accomplished this without God. So, hey, if you do your cardboards, I would love that you would share it with me. Take a photo, tag Amanda B. Leonardi, and share this video so that none of us would be living separate lives. I'll see you guys next Friday, same time, same place.